The Fujicast is an independent loading zone production.
I had my Mullins spies out, Kev, while I was away. I needed to check in with you, check that everything was okay. Apparently your talk that you did at the photography show was par excellence, Kev.
Was it now?
Yeah, I had very good reports. People said you were very, I said, that's Kev. The report I got back was, he's very calm. He didn't really move around the stage. He was on the chair and he delivered in a calm fashion.
Well, interestingly, that entire talk that I did on the Fujifilm booth, presumably that's the one they're on about, is on YouTube now. So if you go to my YouTube channel, you can see the whole 50-minute talk. Our friend James Souls filmed it for me.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, and sent me the memory card. I stuck it together and plopped it on YouTube.
Instant content, Kev.
Instant content.
You got your content creators out there for you. What? Give us a flavour of the talk then, so that we can get excited about it.
God, it feels like months ago now.
I know. It's only a couple of weeks, but go on.
It was a 14-year retrospective. Oof. So I kind of started with the first pictures I took on my X100 and went all the way through to GFX stuff. Obviously not the GFX100RF, which I did have in my bag, but hadn't been announced at that point. Yeah. There's obviously some wedding pictures, family pictures, street photography, sports, basically everything in between from all the cameras that I've used over the years.
And you squeeze that into what?
Cathartic little exercise, really.
I bet it probably was. You squeeze that into 50 minutes, Kev. What did you do? Put yourself on twice speed or something?
Well, it was on twice.
You'd be running around like something out of a Benny Hill show or something.
The Fujicast.
I go, There's Kev delivering his life in 50 minutes. God, I bet it was cathartic, wasn't it? Did you, was it quite an emotional experience putting something like that together?
It was nice searching for the images and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was also quite different. It was quite interesting not talking about wedding photos, you know, and wedding photography all the way through. So yeah, it was different.
How are you finding that? Because you'll be doing more and more talks, I'm sure, that just don't involve talking about weddings.
Yeah, it's nice.
Enthusiasm is at number 11. As always, welcome to the Fujicast. You and your questions sent in by email to click@fujicast.co.uk or via Facebook. What does Facebook look like, Kev? I don't mean physically describe what it looks like on a screen. I mean, how many questions have we got?
Facebook. Well, Facebook itself is a cluster of fake news and adverts, but in the Fujicast Facebook group, which is very nice, there is no adverts and there is no fake news. So questions-wise, yeah, we still have a lot in the backlog, so I'm not panicking just yet, but we haven't really had that many recent questions.
It's grinding to a halt.
I did expect a couple about the GFX100RF, but nope, nothing.
Oh, not at all. Nothing.
Answering questions about that.
Well, I'm going to ask some myself then in that case, since you had it in your grubby mitts. Before we do that, thank you to our friends at PicTime for supporting the show. pic-time.com is where myself and Kev, it's a gallery system we use to show our wares and sell our photographs, digital or indeed product, to show our clients the photographs we've made at events. In my case, weddings. In Kev's case, weddings at the right price these days. Or your commercial work, Kev? Or, of course, a great place to, because I had an email like this during the week where somebody, I think I'd shot their wedding 18 months ago or something, said, am I too late? Has the thing been taken down? They should have just checked, to be honest, because they had the URL. But has it been taken down? I said, no, don't worry. It's going to be there for quite a while yet. It's the ultimate backup, isn't it, Kev?
It is, indeed. Yeah, it's a very good system that, we've used for a very long time. Yeah. And, in terms of backup, you can see it like that because you can go in as the photographer and just download all of the images as well at any point if you so wish, if you can't get to them quickly in Lightroom and all of that stuff. So, yeah. What are you
using it for now? I know I've asked you this a few times, but you've done a few commercial jobs of late, haven't you?
I've done a couple of commercial stuff, yeah, but it's the family stuff really that I'm kind of concentrating on now. So I've done a few of them recently. So it'll be those galleries that go up. Interestingly, funny enough, for the family photography clients, they seem, percentage-wise, they seem to be more likely to buy a book than the wedding clients were.
Oh.
Don't know why,
Oh.
but they do. Maybe it's because it's for, newborn babies and all of that kind of stuff. So, yeah, I don't know why. But
Do you think that's habit across the... Although I think more people are buying wedding albums again. There was a period where, a couple of years, this is prior to COVID, I don't think I sold one single album.
I think, personally, it's because, like, weddings, people, they... Not everybody, of course, but most people think, right, we've got to have a wedding photographer, and we'll get a wedding photographer, and digital images are kind of par for the course there. Whereas I think with the family stuff, it's not, you don't have to have a kind of day in the life session or anything like that. So I think it's a much more considered choice for those people, and I think it's more likely that they will kind of assign a budget, especially for a book as well, because they're going through this process, at this particular time in their lives, and they want a physical product. I mean, I haven't asked these people these questions, but it just does seem like more of the family photography clients order physical product.
Get them before they start running out of money, Kev?
Exactly that. Yeah, exactly that.
Because our Jack, on this day of recording, we're recording on a Wednesday. And there is a relevance to that. Wednesday, 26th of March. This time, pretty much 17 years ago, I was driving back to the Royal Berkshire Hospital from our little house in Thatcham, and picking our Jack up with Mum, newly born Jack.
Is it birthday today or yesterday?
It is birthday today. Today is the day where, Kev, hide away. Because Jack, the learner plates go on at 4:00 this afternoon.
Oh God!
So, yeah, you've got this. I was just wondering, Kev, I don't know what to do with it. Probably nothing at all. And hey, it wouldn't be that unusual to the 1 million and 2 million, 3 million journeys being taken by dads and sons as they teach their son to drive. But I was wondering whether it might make quite an interesting recording.
Well, it's up to you. I don't know. You're not going to stick him in your posh Kia, are you?
No, because that's automatic, so there's no point in that.
Saying that, you say that about automatic. Actually, within a pretty short period of time, people will only be able to drive automatics, and people will only be able to learn in automatics once the world goes fully electrical.
Yeah. Should you not learn, though? Do you not think it's a good idea to learn how to use gears?
Yeah. Oh no, I do, absolutely. If you've got a chance at the minute, definitely learn manually. Yeah. But in the not too distant future, well, actually, I mean, I think personally it will be a long way away. But that's what they're saying, isn't it? By 2030, no new manual cars should be sold.
Actually, Giles, my friend, he one of his daughters did only learn in automatic cars.
There's not many countries actually that drive manually normally, like right? America, Australia, I think. I'm not sure about Australia, but definitely America. A lot of the countries around the world, it's just manual.
Well, 4:00 this afternoon.
Automatic even. Sorry.
Automatic. 4:00 this afternoon, Kev. Hide. Find somewhere to hide and hide in it.
I will indeed.
Because that's the first legal lesson. That he's had. I say that we've not been illegally driving with him on the roads, by the way, but there have been a few car parks where we've said, go on then, let's do a bit of reversing.
Well, good luck to him. I hope he smashes it and doesn't...
No, that's the last thing. That's the last thing we want him to do, Kev. We don't want him to smash it.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean. I'm sure he'll be very good.
I failed my first one. You probably passed your first with flying colours, knowing you.
No, I failed 4 times.
No, did you?
Yeah. Well, no, I failed 3 times, passed on the 4th.
Blimey, Kev. What were you doing? What were you doing?
No, don't ask. Quite long stories, so don't ask.
Right, okay. I want to start with GFX. So we may not have had questions in through Facebook, but I'd like to ask a question. Do you like it? I looked at it and thought, it's a bit of a funny old squat shape, isn't it? And am I going to spend that much money on it? So I went into two very negative arenas with this camera before I haven't held it. I'm not lucky enough to be in the echelons that get the opportunity. But go on, Kev. What do you feel? Honestly, what do you feel about this camera?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned the size of it and the price of it. And, I honestly, I've never seen and I've had this in the past with other camera launches, but this was particularly brutal. The comments on my YouTube video were just, I'm like, and I personally thought I did a very, very balanced review. I kind of very much said, some people are going to love it, some people are not going to love it. And, these are the reasons why I think it's good. These are the reasons what I think bad about it. Yeah. And, it was a very, very balanced review. Yeah. However, like the review goes live and within like 30 seconds, people are commenting and going, no, and I'm like, it's a 17-minute video. You haven't even got past the opening kind of, credits yet. And the main thing about what you just mentioned about the size and the price is, my statement on that essentially is, well, you will not find a medium format camera that size or that price anywhere. Simple as that. That's the fact of it. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to like it. You don't have to hold it. You don't have to, be interested in it whatsoever. If you look at it from the bone facts, I don't know, what is it, £5,000 or something. Again, you just won't get a medium format system that, is fixed lens, that is compact enough to carry around with you. Yeah. So you can't compare it price-wise with anything else. There is nothing to compare it with. There just isn't. And, I know that the cost of the medium format sensor alone is a vast majority of that price. So price-wise, people may not be able to afford it, absolutely, but Fujifilm, I think, have come in as low as they physically can. Some people are like, this should be £2,000. Should be a £2,000 camera. I'm like, yeah, but the sensor itself is $2,500. So, what do you want them to do? Give it away free? Maybe they should come around your house and paint your living room for you as well at the same time.
Maybe they should.
Maybe they should. And so there's that element to it. So it definitely is. I think they found a real kind of niche marketplace, put it that way, because this kind of thing doesn't exist anywhere else. Yeah, you've got the Leica Q3, which is probably the most obvious comparison camera. Not medium format, but it has a faster lens, has in-body image stabilization, etc., etc. Now, the point about IBIS, that was the other thing. No IBIS, no buy. No IBIS, no buy. IBIS, IBIS, IBIS. And I was talking to...
And optical viewfinder seems to be another one, yeah.
Yeah, but nobody uses the optical viewfinder these days. This is people just throw this around like, it hasn't got an optical viewfinder, doesn't have IBIS, f4 lens, I'm not buying it, it's too expensive. What they really mean is, I really wish I could afford that, but I work in McDonald's, so I can't. Okay. I was speaking to a Magnum photographer when I was in Prague, and we were having a conversation about the IBIS thing, and she was saying, well, people are, that's what the feedback she's been getting. And I was like, look, does that mean the first 146 years of photography, we need to just delete all those images because they're rubbish? Because none of those cameras had IBIS, right? Because IBIS really is only a thing that's come in the last 6 or 7 years. So, does that mean that every picture that was taken up until 6 or 7 years ago should immediately be discounted as rubbish, or maybe blurry or out of focus because it was a shot on a camera without IBIS? And of course not, right? So, nobody actually, on a camera like this, you do not need IBIS. And that's my honest to God process and thought. On a smaller camera where you might be shooting a lot faster, moving with it, like the X100VI, IBIS makes sense because you are likely to be moving around much quicker. This camera is not for those. It's not a spray and pray. It's not it's not there to be used for sports or anything like that. So it's not. And the as with all the other GFXs or the GFX100 sensors at least, the high ISO capability, because obviously it's only an f4 lens, is phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. Phenomenal. So, there's trade-offs, of course there is. And would we have liked to have seen a 2.8 lens in there? Yeah, that would have been great, but it would have been much bigger. Would we have liked to have seen IBIS in there? Yeah, but again, it would have been bigger. And is it actually needed for this? No, more importantly, wouldn't necessarily just be bigger, but it'd be a damn sight more expensive. So, I think ultimately it is, my understanding, by the way, is that the pre-orders are flying. And I even read somewhere that the pre-orders for this camera are second only to the X100 VI in the Fujifilm range. It is purely, I think, definitely going to be aimed at a certain type of person. We automatically think of dentists and doctors and Jonas Rasks and people like that who, have disposable income and are very, very capable photographers. They want premium, they want luxury, they want best quality. And that's who it's aimed at. It's not necessarily aimed at it's definitely not aimed at everybody. It's aimed at a certain type of photographer. And those people, when they buy it, will love it. I have absolutely no qualms about that. The image quality is phenomenal. You can, stick it in a tiny little bag. I even put it in my coat pocket. You go anywhere in the world and find me a medium format system, 102 megapixels, that you can do that.
How big's your pockets, Kev?
Not that big. It's a coat pocket. Look on the video. You'll see it. It's there. It's just a jacket. Not even a coat. Yeah. It's like a suit jacket. It's not a thing, and all the thing is, people are very quick to, it's too big. Have you ever seen it? No. How'd you know then?
I feel there's a little bit of angry Kevin here.
I am angry. I'm not angry at the camera. Of course I'm not. I think it's a lovely camera. I won't be buying it, by the way, because I don't have a need for it. Because, I just don't. I certainly don't have the income for that right now anyway, and I don't have a need for it. But I am angry at the vitriol and the complete and utter ignorance that people have, born entirely out of jealousy. Jealousy, and I had some, and I've deleted some of them off my YouTube channel.
I was looking through the comments and I was thinking, well, the comments aren't too bad here. So it seems like maybe you did see a few off.
I deleted a few of the personal ones, but
okay.
Like, those pictures are rubbish. And I'm like, look, you know what? I had 3 hours to shoot with this thing. I shot albeit football. I managed to get my arse into London, do some pictures there. I managed to kind of get up to the horse, all of that stuff in the best part of, a half a day, I suppose. And the review that I put together is not necessarily meant to create beautiful art. If you want that, then you want to be looking at somebody like Jonas Rask's review, because he had the camera for months, and he took himself off to the Balearics and made some beautiful pictures, which really does show off the camera. I didn't have that opportunity or luxury, but it just kind of boils my...
Oh, Kev, that's a horrible expression. I hate that.
Well, I could have said it even worse.
You did. If Jonas Rask has taken it to the Balearics, there's a nice place to be able to take your camera for a little while, isn't it? No, you're gonna
he did amazing.
He
created some amazing pictures.
Did Fujifilm then send it in a car, and then somebody waited outside with shades on, waiting for Mullins to finish with it, and then whisk it back out your mutts?
No, I actually had it for a week.
Oh, you did have it for a week, okay.
Yeah, but I couldn't. I was busy, and it had to go back, and so I only really had the day that I headed to TPS, in fact. So that was the day that I shot the stuff with, and then it went back. It went back the last day I was at TPS, so I couldn't use it there. So I really didn't have much time with it, and that's not I'm not kind of bemoaning that fact. It was nice to be able to see it and put a review out there, a balanced review, people. So in a nutshell, I think that it will be a very successful camera. It's certainly not for everybody, but there will be a lot of people that will, especially people who only want one camera, but they want premium, they want quality, and they want the best possible image quality.
Find a seat, Kev. Sit down on it for a second. I think you already are, but this is the first question of a few that I've spied in there. But Ian C. Photography, he asked a question which I would expect is probably one of the leading questions. I can't believe they've brought this to the marketplace. Where is the X Pro 4, a camera that would go off the shelf in big numbers? It sounds like this is going to go in big numbers as well. But he has a point though with the question, because
he doesn't have a point.
Does he not? Well, there's a lot of voices saying, "Can I have my X Pro 4, please?"
No, so he doesn't have a point, and the point he is making is a valid point, but it's not accurate. Right. So the X Pro 3 didn't sell anywhere near as much as the XTs, X100s, all of that kind of stuff. So obviously Fujifilm are kind of keeping their eye on those numbers, right? Additionally, we are currently, using the X Processor 5. The current sensor is the X Processor 5. We've had XT5, we've had XHs, we've had XS20s. We've had loads of cameras using that processor. Now, that processor has been out for a few years, so it would make no sense to me for Fujifilm for them to release an X Pro with that sensor now. And the reason I say that is because the branding and the marketing around the X Pro is that it was always been like the kingpin of the X series. That was the whole point of it, the kind of the special one, if you like. So I suspect, and again, I have no real idea about this, but I suspect the fact we haven't seen it means that we won't see it until, the next tranche of cameras come, and whenever they come. Yeah. It makes absolutely no sense for Fujifilm to release an X Pro 4 now, much as, I would love it as well, don't get me wrong. But, all the people that were bemoaning, saying, I wish they'd spent more time developing an X Pro 4, my question to those also is, well, did you buy an X Pro 3? Did you buy an X Pro 2? Did you buy an X Pro 1? Maybe you only bought an X Pro 2 and didn't buy an X Pro 3. When the X Pro whatever comes out, it'll probably be $2,000. Will you bemoan the price of that? It's these kind of throwaway comments that are fine. I get the sentiment. I have no problem with the sentiment whatsoever. But shouting at me on my YouTube review isn't the way forward, people, because I am not Fujifilm. I am not sat in Tokyo Towers reading these comments or making any decisions whatsoever based on this stuff. All I'm doing is saying, look, I've got this camera in my hand, and I do have it in just one hand, and it will go in my pocket, by the way. This is what I like about it. This is what I think people might struggle with. Boom, here's the details. Don't throw mud at Mullins.
Can I read one of the don't throw mud at Mullins ones? Would you just let me have one? Because I know you're very diligent, actually. When you make films, you do reply. I think you don't have an opportunity to reply to everything. I know that. But your thoughts about this IBIS thing, they echo a lot of people's thoughts, actually. Somebody said, I won't name the name, no IBIS, is this 2015? And I could tell it was boiling something, Kev, because you said you were right. Let's just pretend the first 150 years of photography until 6 years ago were rubbish because the cameras didn't have IBIS, which is a nice way of coming round to how we started the whole conversation. Anyway, you like it, Kev. But I
do like it, but I'm not buying it.
You won't be buying one. But, well, wait for the next set of presets to come out. You'll be first in the queue. That's how it works. Thanks, Kev. I think it was worth talking about the new camera right at the start of the show. I think you'd have expected us to. I'm surprised we didn't get lots of questions about it, but there we go. Right. Do you want to start with the Facebook question?
Yes. Hey, Kevin. Hey, Neil. Love the podcast. It's always a great listen. I am a pro photographer. He gives his website. I'm going to have to spell it. MAUROPALMIERI.com. Mauro Palmieri.com. Right. And shoot all my advertising and editorial work on a GFX system. I made the jump from Nikon to Fujifilm, selling all my Nikon gear in the process. But in the excitement of switching, I completely forgot to pick up a solid street travel camera for my kit. I was originally looking at the XT5 or XH2, but I recently came across the smaller XT50. And now I'm wondering if that might be a good option instead. I'm not considering fixed lens cameras, just something versatile with interchangeable lenses. Would love to hear your thoughts in advance. Mauro Palmieri.
Well, you know that camera. I don't. I mean, the X100 is the only thing I would suggest in that situation.
Yeah, he's not interested in fixed lens. So I don't have any of the XT cameras,
no.
XT50. But what I would say with you do have XT50. You also have XE ranges.
Yeah.
XS20. I have the XS20, which I really like. You also have the XM5 now, which would be worth considering. I would say ultimately it depends on which lenses you're going to put on it and how big you need the camera to be. If you want a really small and really capable street photography camera, I think the the XM5 is a solid choice. Doesn't have a viewfinder, but has, it's a great ergonomically great camera. Very small, and if you're only using smaller, maybe the f2 lenses, 23, f2, 50, f2, whatever, then I think that's a great combination. As is the XE, the XT range. I've always had a little bit of a kind of, I'm not sure why those exist moments, because they are effectively, XT50 will be an XT5 inside, but with, less build, less weather sealing, I think only one card slot, all that kind of stuff. So
price point, I would imagine, Kev, just price point.
Price point, of course, it'd be a lot cheaper, of course. Yeah, I mean, balance, price is obviously a thing. I would be dependent, Mero sounds like he's, a good-looking Italian man, I would imagine, with reasonably sized hands. And so maybe an XM5 might not be for him, in which case XT50 probably is. But don't discount the XS20 as well. Have a quick look at that in your research.
In terms of size, because it's talking about size of cameras and going small, it's really interesting for me over the last couple of weeks, particularly in India, to watch a group of 9 photographers plus 3 guides with the different cameras that they used, and the ease of use in the heat, working in quite intense situations sometimes, small marketplaces, mosques, large vistas, down to the whole gamut of street photography in many respects. And I was left thinking, do you know that maybe I should have taken my XH2Ss, because they are really quite small compared to everything else I've seen being used. I wonder, we think smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, when actually, even at not the GFX size, but even at the larger size, such as XH2Ss, they're not, or XH2, they're not really very large, Kev.
No mirrorless cameras really are very large, regardless of brand. That's the whole point of them. But I thinking about your trip to India, I think the X100RF would have been, if I was going to India, that's what I would rent.
The X100 what, sorry?
RF, the new GFX100RF.
Oh, you'd have had that one, right? Oh, you'd have rented it for that.
I think that'd been amazing for that trip. With the low light, the sensor, I think that would have been absolutely stunning.
I knew I was going, Kev. In fact, I tried to get a 6 or a VI. I'm not as important as a Mullins. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, that would have been great, wouldn't it? It would have been. Yeah, what a great place to have tried it. In India street photography. Woof. Hi, Neil. Hi, Kev. This is from Richard Griffith. I have a question about manual focusing. I use an XT5 in the 16-80. When I set the focus to manual and turn the lens, the electronic display in the camera's viewfinder shows a white on blue marker. When you set this to infinity, the marker appears not to sit exactly on the infinity symbol either, sitting just to the left or extreme right. If I then slowly... Are you keeping up with this? If I then slowly turn the lens anti-clockwise, the white marker remains on the extreme right with a blue bar extending to the left. Why is this? I mainly use this setting for astrophotography and never sure where the marker should sit.
Okay, so the white mark in the middle of the blue bar is the focal point, the center of the focal point. The longer the blue bar elongates, that's your start and end focus. So you will have a longer blue bar at f16 than you would at f2.8, for example, right? So that's the camera showing you visually where your focus distance is. So he's talking about the distance scale on the camera here. And that scale with the blue bar on it will have either feet or meters showing you where the focus point is. Now, he's quite right about the infinity marker, which is the little ellipses right on the very end. If the blue bar, if the blue kind of elongating bit extends up to the infinity section, then that means the camera is focusing to infinity. Okay. So obviously for astro, that'd be great. You need obviously stabilization and all that kind of stuff. But I don't understand why he says it never quite reaches the end of the focus distance scale. Now, when I look at my cameras, I can see that the infinity mark is just to the right of the end of the bar. So I would never expect it to kind of touch it, but you can visually see that it's taken up the whole of that area. So perhaps that's what he means. But the distance scale, that's the distance scale. Change the aperture. A good way to kind of see this in action is widen the focus as wide as it will possibly go, so the blue bar extends, and then at f16 or f22 on that particular lens, and then change the aperture, step it down or up, whichever way it is, to f11, f8, f5.6, f2.8, and you'll see that comes down narrower, narrower, and narrower.
Sorted. Facebook, Kev?
Right, before we do Facebook, I do have I've got a magazine that I want to talk about.
I've got a zine. Is there a zine?
A magazine. It actually says magazine.
Oh, it does say it's a magazine.
It physically says magazine,
Good.
although it kind of looks like a zine, but it says magazine. Have you ever heard of Docu?
No.
Okay, so there's a thing called Docu Magazine, all right? Okay. I've just gone, and the website is docu-magazine.com.
So docu-magazine.com. Right. Yeah.
A photography publication. Print is not dead. Yes. And it looks like they produce magazines, as it definitely says magazine on the cover, for different photographers. Now, the reason I've got one in my hand is because at TPS, some random guy came up to me and said, "Oh, my friend Ashton wants to give you this magazine, but he's not here at the minute, and he really wants me to give it to you." Right. So he handed it to me, and then about 10 seconds later, Ashton turned up and said, "Oh, I got here in time. Thanks, Kev." And so I have the Docu Special Edition Ashton Zala edition. So Ashton Zala, ASHTON Zala.com is the photographer. And he's had his work produced in Docu Magazine. And it's really nice. And obviously I'm only looking at Ashton's one. Some great, lovely street photos. I'll read out the little blurb at the front. It's called 40mm moments. 40mm is the focal length that most closely resembles the field of vision of human eye, the instrument with which mankind consumes visual information. I like that. The basis of our precious yet fleeting memories. Photography as an art form is centered around this visual information, allowing us as human beings to take photographs, permanent documents of one's transient moments. That's really nice. I like that. Which we capture to enjoy with our loved ones forevermore. With this in mind, 40mm is a special focal length, the one with which I choose to create my art. And then there is loads of actually really, really cool London-based street photography, Camden Town, Chinatown, Bishopsgate, some really nice places. Some of the places I recognize, some otherwise. And flip to Stockholm, all vertical images. I'm not a massive fan of, that, but it works really well in this magazine, and it's a vertical magazine, so it makes sense. I wonder if these images have had to have been cropped for that process. And Valletta in Malta. I went to Malta once. Very nice place. And yeah, I mean, it's not huge. It's like 20 pages, 40 spreads, I suppose you could call it. But very nice. So thank you, Ashton, for finding me and handing that to me.
Cool. There's a lot of these, aren't there? I was just looking through the back catalogue. Loads and loads and loads. So what's the concept then? If you have a story that you approach Docu?
I guess so. You can buy a subscription to Docu by the looks of it. And it's really well produced. It's got its own ISBN and all that kind of stuff. So this particular one is volume 2, issue 25. So it's obviously putting a lot of work into it, and I think it's great. I think it's really good to see people doing that as well. So the person who is behind Docu Magazine, according to the website, is here is somebody called Tuomas Koskialo. There we go. Right. So well done to Tuomas.
Yeah, it's what an amazing project. Never heard of it before, Kev. But there's so many of them. Is it print on demand?
I don't know. I think you can. I saw a link on Blurb, so that implies that it's
print on demand. Yeah.
I don't know. There you go. So there's a new website according to the link, Docu Specials, DOCU Specials.com.
Yeah.
And there you can buy. So they're about €15.
That's right. 15. In fact, they're down from the usual price of 27 as we speak. This is $27.95 down to 15 today. I'm not sure if that's due to change before we next mention it, Kev. But
there's some great names on there as well. Good stuff. I'm gonna dig into that.
Yeah. Brilliant. Fantastic. Go on then, Facebook.
Okay, so David Jennings says, for early sneak peeks for a wedding, do you suggest creating a scene for this in PicTime, or do you offer them another way? How many photos do you normally provide in a sneak peek?
I've never really done sneak peeks, Kev. I sometimes send clients a few photographs so that they can do them for thank you cards and stuff like that, but I've never really got into sneak peeks. All clients have been quite happy to wait 2 to 4 weeks to get their pictures. Usually they're off on honeymoon anyway. They don't want to be looking at pictures, Kev. There are other things they want to be doing.
Yeah, I agree. I've no problem with people doing sneaky peeks. That's what they call it, sneaky peeks. I always think, I can see them kind of hiding behind the sofa, looking around the corner with their dark shades.
Did we look all right? Did we look all right?
Yeah, I never once did it ever. I did get asked about it a couple of times. After the wedding, like on the Monday morning, from a couple of kind of clients who were like, "Will you be sending some of our pictures today?"
Yeah.
I'm like, dear client, no, love Kev.
Love Kev.
So yeah, I've never done it, but I would, if I were to do it, I think PicTime would be a good, if you've got PicTime already, you can create a scene in PicTime, and I wouldn't call them sneak peeks. I don't like that. I would maybe call it, first reveal or something a little bit more classy, perhaps. And then you can, when you finished your edits, when you finished everything else, you could just remove that scene and upload the rest.
Yeah.
Well, that's probably the way I would approach it.
Yeah, because it's a gallery of scenes anyway, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
do you actually use do you use your scenes, or do you do it all as one wedding? Because I definitely do them as scenes, morning preparations, ceremony.
I do colour and black and white.
Oh right, okay. No, I've always done them in scenes. I like that idea of moving to the next part of the day.
I would, thinking about the PicTime integration for this idea, I wouldn't call them sneak peeks, and I wouldn't call them whatever I just said, first reveal. I would actually call them photographer's selection. Photographer selection. That way you can keep that scene, because that kind of implies that these are your portfolio type pictures.
These
the ones you're really happy with.
The specials.
I don't know. I wouldn't do it, I have to say, because it kind of implies to me that the rest of the pictures aren't good enough. But,
What, if you do photographer's collection?
Yeah. Yeah. Or sneak peeks, any of it, really. What made you choose those ones over the other ones? Is it because they're better? Probably. And that implies that the others are not quite as good.
All right. Okay.
Which is true, though, isn't it? We've all got images we only put on the blog, and the others don't make the blog because they're not strong enough.
Yeah.
So, it's true, but it's just that kind of, my head works in the mind of what the bride will think.
Well, I always think that's the danger of having the AI, when you might get certain, bridesmaids or groomsmen or whoever that think, if they're able to look up faces, they think, oh, why didn't I appear as much as Stubby did?
You weren't interesting enough.
See that there, but there we go, Kev. That could be a problem, can't it? I'm only in 5. She's in 8.
Should have done a bit more then, shouldn't you?
Yeah. All right, Bobby Ellis. Hello, my name's Bobby Ellis. I'm a professional photographer based in the States. My fiancé and I work full-time as photographers for a university here, photographing everything. You'll like this, Kev, because I think we found a new genre. Photographing everything from meetings, classrooms, events, chicken dinners, and sporting events. I had to check this twice, that I wasn't doing a bit of speed reading and getting that wrong. It is. Is chicken dinners a thing, Kev, in the States?
I'm sure it is, but I didn't know it was an event thing.
Yeah. Come here for we used to have cheese and wines in the UK, didn't we? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Mums and dads used to have. I think cheese and wines were a euphemism for something else, personally. But there we go.
Right.
We both shoot Fuji at home, but were on full time on Canon at the office until just last week, when we completed a massive overhaul of our equipment, trading in all of the Canon gear for Fujifilm. The office now boasts 3 kits. One for me, one for my fiancé, and one for a student photographer. Of 2 X8... look at this kit list, Kev. 2 XH2S bodies, an XH2 body, and several lenses. And we have a GFX100 2S, that is, for the studio. I just wanted to comment about this as I was listening to your episode about sports shooters and finding the body that works for you. I myself have been a freelancer for Getty, taking photos of the Kentucky Derby. That's something I would like to photograph, Kev, the Kentucky Derby. NFL, other pro sports, and I just want to second the comments made on your episodes. It's not so much a question, but a seconding, and that's quite a nice way to end because of all the comments that were a bit more adverse. When you did
I took my X100 VI to the Cheltenham races again.
You did, yes. Oh, yeah, we've slept since then. Was it good?
Yeah, just about.
Did you like it?
I loved it. I think I got some of my favourite pictures over all the years this time, actually. I think I really did. Yeah.
What was it about this one?
I don't know. I don't know whether it was the weather, I don't know. It was just, I really don't know. But I just feel like I got some of the better pictures than I have in previous years. But yeah, once again, I got stopped at bag check and, what's that in your pocket? I was like, oh, what, this little thing? Oh, yeah, that's all right. That's just a little camera.
Oh, the bag check, because you're not allowed to take in professional cameras, do you mean?
They don't let you take in, they wouldn't let you take a DSLR or anything that looks like a pro camera.
You like, just a parting Indian story, actually. In India, there's a lot of bag checking and security checking going on for all sorts of political reasons, as you probably can work out. And particularly at the airports. So often, the airports in the UK now have the latest spectacular system of you just put the bag in a tray and it just goes through, doesn't it? No longer do you have to take anything out. In fact, I don't recall at Heathrow even taking my boots off for that flight, going out anyway to Delhi. But in India, everything comes out of your bag, Kev. The batteries, the cameras, leads, everything comes out. So you literally take everything out of your bag and you have to repack it. Not just a little bit, you have to repack the whole thing. It's absolute bedlam sometimes, Kev. It's chaos, as you can imagine. But it doesn't just happen once. Sometimes it happens twice. And it happened when I was going through to one of the internal flights we had to take, and the guy asked again to look into the bag. I thought, oh no, I've just repacked it, not again. And he really only wanted to look in one thing, and it was my pencil case of all my batteries that I take for the X100 5 that I have. And I have a lot of batteries. I've collected a lot of batteries across the year, and it's quite handy because it means you don't have to worry about charging them up at the other end. But it does mean I'm carrying more batteries than you'd ever really think is necessary. And this guy, he stopped me, and he'd seen the cameras, and he looked into the pencil case, and he was like, oh, he was counting the batteries out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and he was really, really confused. And I just looked at him and I said, Fujifilm. He looked back at me as if he suddenly understood, that's why you need so many batteries, and moved on.
Well, you wouldn't with the GFX100RF, by the way, because it's got an enormous battery capacity.
Enormous.
840 rated shots. I never charged it. I never changed my battery once.
Did you not? Well, so in the three sorties that you used it in for, you never changed it once. Wow.
No, and then when I was using it in Prague as well, I didn't change it once. Loads, big capacity. Same batteries as the other cameras, but massive capacity.
Yeah,
much bigger than X100. Much bigger, like 2.5 times Q3 capacity. Lots. Anyway, there you go.
Well, thank you, Kev.
Should have taken the RF.
Send your complaints to Kev at Kev Mullins. No, if you have any questions for the show, then send them in to click@fujicast.co.uk. How do you send them in? Via Facebook, that lovely Facebook thing you love so much, Kev.
Go to facebook.com, ignore all of the fake news and the adverts, go search bar, type Fujicast, join the group if you're not already in it, and just stay in there forever. You no longer need any part of Facebook ever again. And right at the top is a post that says questions for the show. And those are the questions that we will monitor and answer on the show at some point.
Perfect.
In the next 15 years.
Perfect. Thank you, Kev. See you soon. Bye.
The Fujicast is an independent loading zone production. Email the show with your questions and words of wisdom to click@fujicast.co.uk. Email any complaints and political nonsense to our wives, who will deal with your comments in their own good time and in their own good way.